Hey everyone, and hail to the fellowship. We thank you guys for tuning in. I'm your nerdy normal reviewer, the Elvin Barber, and joining me is the Lord Loyalist himself, TC, the Token Cribble.
Hello.
And we're those guys. TC, episode, are we on episode number 7?
I
Was
think
that
so.
was that episode number 7? Episode number 7 of National Treasure we just finished?
I think it was.
Edge, yeah, episode number 7. Point of no return. Yes, that's what it was called. Point of no return. How did you feel about the episode, sir?
Um, I feel like they got into Mexico really, really, really easily.
They did.
Especially when we find out that she's on the hook for Sadusky's murder.
Yes.
Um, I'm a little confused as to why the guy that was working with Billy, why he suddenly had this crisis of conscience, especially since we didn't know he was working for Billy until I think last episode.
Oh, the
So it's
nurses
not,
that aid, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thing, and I'm just confused because I wish we had known earlier that he was working with Billy, so we could kind of see why he had a crisis of conscience now. Because I mean, he just said, "I did it." They said, "Oh, here's the money," and he declines the money. So it just seems really strange. Like, why even establish that if he's immediately going to be like, "This is wrong"? Bye.
Right. Correct.
And that was strange. Like I said, they got to Mexico really, really easily, and then they managed to get into the prison really, really easily.
That was rather easy, right?
I mean, I'm sure she has a birth certificate and stuff in Mexico. Um, but I mean, I've never visited anyone in prison, so I don't know. Maybe that makes sense. Um, but it just seemed really strange to me, especially if this dude is as big of a pain in the ass to. I got the impression it was not a low security prison. Like it was supposed to be a pretty high profile place,
Uh-huh.
so it was kind of weird. Um, yeah, and we have yet more just convenient leaps of logic that just immediately pan out. I don't know. It wasn't a strong episode, but then again, the entire series hasn't been strong.
I was gonna say, yeah, the entire series hasn't really been strong. I agree with you as well. A lot of things were super easy for them to do. Getting into Mexico, getting into the prison, her whole ideal of trying to get Salazar to align with them, and then because no one saw this coming, when she goes to meet Salazar, he's like, "I'm your daddy," and she's like, "No, my daddy's dead." And then, like, they had, of course, that was a whole thing. Then they portray him as a
Because
shitty,
fathers, am I right?
right? Then they portray him as a shitty father because he doesn't care about, literally, he doesn't care about her. All he cares about is the treasure. So they're like, we need him to just be super focused on the treasure and not on the fact that, one, his daughter is in front of him, and two, his wife passed away from cancer just last year.
And
Like, these things. Go ahead.
why does he care so much about the treasure?
He's hooked
Earnestly,
on. Yeah,
like he outright says that her life is less important. Like the mother's life was less important than the treasure, and
he
I'm
did
literally
say
like,
that.
why though?
He said all their lives are doesn't compare to the
Because
treasure.
cultural heritage or blah blah blah. I'm
Yeah,
like, I don't know. I feel like the value of human life trumps any amount of money or cultural artifacts, or it should. And if it
it
doesn't, you're a
should.
crap human being.
It definitely should. It definitely should. Meanwhile, you got Auntie Cage there, Liam. He's out of the hospital and trying to figure out where Jess is. We got, you mentioned it, the aide who's 180'd and now he feels bad and wants to help him out, but has no fucking clue what's going on or where anyone is. So so it's pointless his fucking help. You got Crypto Queen Billy. She was apprehended but then let go.
Is that supposed to be
And
a white privilege thing, or is that just convenient writing?
I feel like that was just lazy writing. I think it was just lazy writing because it was like, oh, let's have her be apprehended. Well, was she?
She was
Was it?
arrested. She
She
was
was
arrested
arrested
because of what she did at the Alamo.
and she was sitting next to someone who had like made a statement that that made her very knowledgeable of the Alamo and stuff like that. Like conveniently, she sat next to someone who knew the answer to the questions that she needed. Conveniently, yeah, it was.
This show rests on convenient writing
Oh,
for
it
everything.
does. It does. So many contrivances in this show. Yeah. So, but then we find out that Jess is wanted for murder because there's a deep fake of her killing Sandusky. So naturally, they just believe she did it.
Was she
I don't know.
already in Mexico when that came out? Because if she
I
wasn't, she should not have been able to cross the border.
I don't. No, no, no. You know what? No, it wasn't. She wasn't because I believe when that came out, that's when they were like searching her place because they had they went back to her place and saw that the police, the FBI was there. And they were like, oh, because they were going to pick up some stuff. And then they decided to just keep it moving. So that recording was definitely out then. And yet somehow they were still able to just get into Mexico, no problem.
Yeah, that just flat shouldn't have happened.
It
If
shouldn't
she's
have, no.
wanted by the FBI, all it takes is a phone call to be like, "Do not let this person pass the border."
Correct. Correct. So I want to say there's a point where Billy figures out that the Alamo, what they're talking about, is in Mexico. So that's where she goes. I want to say, was there any more that happened in between there? Between, I don't think there was. I mean, there was a
This is.
scene. Go ahead.
I think the next thing we see. Let's see. Liam spoke with the aide guy. Or
Right.
wait, no. Wait, was this when Liam went to the bar?
Right. So Liam did. Yeah, he goes to the bar in an attempt to look for Jess, or maybe he went there, or did he go there to see if he can get some money? Maybe.
I think it was two birds, one stone. I think it was a two
Right.
birds, one stone deal.
And the owner of the bar is like, "Oh, all these people here are here for you because of your guitar playing at Graceland, which I guess went viral." So they came to the bar looking for him. The guy's like, if you play for me, I'll give you money. I'll pay you to do it. And he needs the money. So he ends up doing it. But then after that, he ends up talking with the aide about,
And then it turns out the aide had his phone the whole time.
yes, yes. The aide had it the entire time. I don't, there's gotta be more there. But maybe there isn't because the writing is just so sloppy and lazy. But so fine. So yeah. So they have all three of the maps. Jess, the Miss Patriarchy, Oren, and Ethan there. They all have the maps. They're trying to figure it out. They can't. And then one of them, I don't know, it might have been Jess.
Oh,
She
we
said,
forgot about the church. We forgot about the church scene.
"Oh, right, the puzzle scene in the church, which didn't take long at all either." I feel like none of these puzzles take very long.
And you mean to
They,
tell me the nuns couldn't hear the organ playing when they were doing the tour, and they were just across, just they literally just rounded the corner. Like you see them physically round the corner, and they couldn't hear the organ playing, but the person somewhere in the freaking courtyard could hear it.
could hear it,
What?
yeah. This loud ass organ. You mean to tell me none of the nuns could hear? Like, come on. Like they weren't being very subtle about it either.
You'd think that they would hear somebody playing that and be like, you literally, you cannot be doing that. Like, what the hell are you doing? Luckily, they happened to find the one nun. The one nun who actually asks questions happens to be a daughter of the Plume Serpent or worked with them and just gives them the
Conveniently.
box, which they conveniently. Also, there's no sheet music with that freaking song, that lullaby. So how do they
Right.
know the actual notes?
I was gonna say because they were singing it too. So not only were they playing on the organ, they were also singing as well, being like very loud.
And
But yeah,
what if somebody's tone deaf and they just had the wrong notes when they were singing it when they were a
ex-
child?
exactly. Of course, none of these implications were thought of. None of these things. We just need everything to work out because the plot says it needs to. So, oh my gosh, the church scene. Yeah. So yeah, everything just kind of works out in their favor, and they get the box. And the nun, she's like, "Oh, thank God." She's like, "It's no longer my burden to bear." She gives it back to Jess. Oh, did you notice the one scene where, of course, they had to bring it right back to race and some type of statement or message where when they first got to Mexico and Jess was talking to one of the vendors outside
Oh yeah,
in
and she was like, "I'm
Spanish.
too American for Mexicans, and I'm too Mexican for Americans."
Yeah, I was like, get the fuck out of here. Like, why do they do this? It's like every episode they have to point something like this out. It's getting real old. I'm over it, man.
It's
And I feel
current
like
year. It's current year, my dude.
I feel like Miss Patriarchy said something as well this episode, but I don't remember. I tune her out a lot.
It's gotten to that point for me too. I just straight up don't
Yeah.
listen when she talks.
Oh man. So yeah, they get the boxes together. They open them up. It leads to a map. They can't figure it out, and they're like, "Oh, we got to go talk to my dad. Like my dad can, he'll know what's going on." So to get back to the jail, and Jesse, she walks in and comes back out. She notices that Billy is in the lobby. Meanwhile, Billy is meeting with Jess's dad, and he, initially he thinks it's Jess, and he looks up, he sees it's Billy, and she's like, "Oh, long time no see. I thought you were dead." All the villainous things that a villain says to someone like that. Meanwhile, Jess is outside with the gang.
See, my question, I still don't understand how they confused her father with Salazar.
With Salazar. Yeah. Yeah. And then I'm like, I don't know. I have questions like, is he like, who the hell is Salazar? Like, is he just taking up the name Salazar because somebody else is paying him? And then another question I have is there's a guy in that car, right? Like there's another guy who's like following them in a car who's got like longer hair, older gentleman. And I'm like, who the fuck is this guy?
He
And
might be
who is he
Salazar.
supposed to be? Yeah, like he might be Salazar. Like who the fuck knows? In any event, Jess is like, Billy's got my dad. And immediately she's like, she's gonna want to get him harmed. She's gonna want to kill him. There's only one thing for me to do.
She
And then
immediately jumps to a prison break.
immediately
Immediately.
jumps to a prison break. Immediately. And the episode ends. And you know what's gonna happen? She's gonna easily break him out of prison.
Can I also
It,
ask when she first went to the sorry, this is backtracking way
no,
back.
that's fine. That's
But when
fine.
she first goes to talk to her father, or
Hmm.
who she later finds out is her father, she goes, "I want to talk to Salazar. I want to tell his story." They say no press,
Hmm.
and she just what a prison guard. Would they cave to that? And again, I feel like you might need an appointment, especially in a prison like this. Like
If she
they're physically roughing up the prisoners.
if she would have if she came out and said I'm his daughter, and he was just like very, he was like, oh, okay, like he just like lets her go through at that point. I feel like it still wouldn't be that easy.
Especially when she started with the false pretenses.
Correct.
It's like at
Correct.
that point you lied, so you've already your any good faith interpretation should be gone by this prison guard.
Yeah, if I know anything about visitation, it's a whole process. One, you got to like schedule the time and an appointment. You just can't fucking pop up. And even if you do pop up, it's not going to be that easy for you to just see someone.
Yeah, they're
There's
gonna
a
be like,
whole
you need to schedule
schedule.
an appointment. Here's fill out the
Correct.
paperwork in
Yeah, the
triplicate,
paperwork. Yep. There's
and
just a lot.
you might
There's a
visit them in
lot.
3 months. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot that goes into it rather than, I'm his, he's my dad. And then boom, you just let him in. Like, no, that's not how it works.
I mean,
That's
at
not
least
how it
with Billy, it
works.
makes some sense in the sense that she could actually grease palms,
Yeah.
but Jess
Yeah.
literally has no resources as far as we know. She never had resources, and B is wanted by the FBI. And I don't think the U.S. and Mexico is on that bad of terms. I feel like that should cause problems. Plus, whether you're guilty of a crime or not, whether the person you're trying to break out is guilty of a crime or not, breaking into a prison is still a crime. So she actually
Yes.
will legitimately have a criminal
A
record.
criminal record. Yeah.
So realistically, there's no way this goes right. Um, but because the show needs everything to go her way after a token resistance, it'll go fine. They'll get discovered when they're about 10 seconds away from getting out. Then they'll find a way to break out anyway. I feel like that's how it's going to play out. And I hope I'm wrong, but I'm not going to be.
Yeah. $10 says the way she plans this whole thing, it's gonna
And plus, I
involve.
thought we were watching National Treasure, not Prison Break.
Yeah. Apparently, with this show, it's one and the same. It's one and the same. I'm telling you, TC. As soon as she said the only thing we can do, I have to break him out of jail. One, the first thing I did is rolled my eyes, and two, I said to myself, she's gonna do this. It's gonna be super easy, barely an inconvenience.
And she has like 4 guys who are all 21 with again no resources.
No resources.
Unironically, the only one with any useful skills is Miss Patriarchy
Miss Patriarchy
because she's a hacker. No one else has anything of use
to
in this
offer.
situation. And what happened to what's his name? The guy that she danced with, and there was the whole jealousy angle. What's his name?
Oh, Ethan.
Yeah.
Ethan.
What happened to Ethan being the reasonable one?
Oh yeah, Ethan's he's like headed, like he's dived right on in. He's like there's no reason with him anymore. He's just all about Jess. He's sipping hard. That's what it is. He he was once a reasonable character, and I actually liked
He was
him.
my favorite. He was my
Yeah,
favorite.
and now he's just a simp. That's all he is now. He can't
just
think
finally
for his
has a
own.
reasonable reaction. Like this treasure ruined my life. I'm done. Like her only priority now should be clear my name with the United States freaking government.
Correct.
That literally should be her only desire. Instead, she's still after the. I mean, I understand her father's life is in danger. Yes, that sucks. But that was like her her crisis of conscience happened before she knew that.
Yes.
So, freaking
Yeah.
why?
Yep. No, I agree with that. I agree with that. Yeah. Um this show it's tough. It is tough to watch. It is so tough to watch.
And again, the aide. I wish we had known earlier that the aide was in with the bad guys, so we could have more of a reason for him to flip.
To flip, yeah.
As
Instead
far
of
as we know, literally last episode he was on their side, and that was
correct.
the first instance. That was the first indication we had that he wasn't on, like that he was anything more than just the medical aid for the guy,
Right.
right? And
Right.
then this episode, he's immediately on their side. I'm like, that's really quick. You should have
Yeah.
set this up a while ago.
It was quite the flip. It was quite the change and POVs. So yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on with that. I don't know if they're trying to do some type of subverting in an attempt to have him still work with, maybe he's still working with Billy and Billy's like, I need you to act like you flipped and then to get more information. I don't know. I don't know.
But he turned down the money. That was the
Yeah.
one thing.
Yeah, by him turning down the. Oh, that's true. He did. He did turn down the money. I don't know. This show, it hurts. It hurts my brain. It hurts. The dialogue is terrible. Production is terrible. Transition scenes aren't great. The usual. Yet the main character, I don't dislike her. Like, even though they've made her a Mary fucking Sue and pretty much one of the greatest things. She's still just, she does a good job. Like she's a pretty solid character. I guess she just can't help that the writers are making everything super easy for her to grasp and puzzles to solve. And I don't know, just yeah, that's chess. That's chess. So any last
I like her. It's just, yeah, it's too easy for her.
Yeah, it is. It really is. But yeah, so we thank you guys for tuning in. We ask you to smash that like button, subscribe, leave a comment, let us know what you guys think about National Treasure, this episode here. If you've watched it, share this video out there, hit that bell for notifications, and you guys take care.
Bye, everyone.